Welcome to part 2 of our video. This is going to focus on cuts. I'm going to be using Groma stuff again. Okay, so I did do it on the same that I used the Breezes. Obviously, you can do it without having the same model. Demo Wax is really good to use. I'm using Groma's. It's really long lasting, it's quite flexible so that the actor's face can move. So to start off, you just want to use the spatula and scrape off as much as you need. You can take more off if you want to, but you want to work it to make it a little bit soft so as it's easy to mould and work with. You might want to, I usually cleanse the skin and maybe add a little bit of the cream to start with, but you want it to be quite dry, otherwise the wax has trouble setting to the face. So you kind of want to shape the bit of wax that you're going to use anyway. So I'm using a long strip here. So I made like a sausage, and then I used the spatula to smooth it onto the skin and then my finger to blend it. Any excess you can get off with the spatula, which is what I'm going to do now. You can use the sharp end of the spatula to shape, pull any of the wax up that you want to be raised for the skin. And the great thing that I found with this Demo Wax is, irregardless of skin tone or anything, it just looks like skin, so you don't have to colour it or add anything else to it really. And now I'm just using cream to smooth out the edges so as there's more of a natural tone, and now I'm going to use some fixing powder just to put over the top so as it gets more of a matte finish, and it also sets it in place a little bit so as it blends with the skin tone well. So that's the basic wax used. Now we're going to fill in. I'm using black to start with, and what I'm going to do is just use a brush to fill in the very deepest parts where the wax meets the skin on the inside, just to give it a little bit of depth, because obviously you want it to look like it's cut into the skin rather than just sitting on top of it, and using the black really helps give it that depth. So just work it into the wax and give your cut the shape that it needs. And now I'm going to go in with some red. I'm using the same red that I used on the Breezes, and I'm going to kind of work on the edges of the wax with this, as well as filling it in and blending it in with the black so as it looks more natural, because obviously we're not aliens and you don't have black blood unless there's something seriously wrong with you. So I'm just going to fill this in. I'm actually using another one of my sculpting tools to do this because I ran out of brushes. Now I'm going to use, this is water-based makeup. I'm using the red. Instead of using water for this, I used the cleansing lotion to break down. You can also use the alcohol makeup. And you just want to blend it, making it look a little bit sore, a little bit red. Using it on the raised bits of the Demo Wax as well. And working it into the bruising that I did earlier. I mean, you don't have to if you haven't got the bruising in, that's fine. Now I'm going in with the blood paste. I'm using the spatula again, the same spatula I used for the wax. And what I'm going to do is just fill in the cut with this. So I love using the blood paste. Not only is it good for scabs and stuff, but it's also good for filling in your wounds that you use the Demo Wax for. It gives it a little bit of depth, and it kind of makes it seem more real instead of it just being something that's stuck to the skin. It makes it appear to be an actual wound. So I'm filling in the gaps underneath the wax. I'm also using it to blend the black and the red together, and to add a little bit of depth to the rest of the wound. So I'll go outside of the cut itself, like a little bit underneath, a little bit on the top, just so as it looks like there's been other damage instead of just a clean tear. Obviously, if you were using a straight line cut or minor cuts, you wouldn't necessarily do that. So the last touch is the blood. Now, on this film, it does say Film Blood A. I actually used Film Blood B with this, just in a Film Blood A bottle. I mixed up the bottles when I was filling them up. So this is Film Blood B, which is darker than Film Blood A. And all I'm doing is putting a tiny amount in the cut itself, making sure that it's not dripping too much, because I didn't want it to be really, really bloody, like overly bloody. I had a little bit of kind of dripping to make it look like it is actually bleeding, instead of it just being an effect on there, and a little bit of seeping blood at the top, because obviously I've added things that look like little cuts and abrasions around as well. Again, you can look online at other pictures, like pictures of wounds, other special effects, actual pictures of cuts and stuff to get your inspiration. The Grimers website itself does do video tutorials, which are really good, and I recommend highly. And that's just to demonstrate how flexible it can be. Okay, what I'm going to do next is a lip cut, like a split lip. I'm going to use the wax again. Like with the others, I'm doing it here. So all I'm doing here is putting some cleansing lotion and some cream on the actress's face. And then I'm going to get a small amount of the derma wax again, just to apply to where I want the split to be. So I want it kind of on the lip, on the edge of the lip, onto the face. And I'm going to end up blending this in towards her chin. Now, it would be easy to ask your model or your actress, or actor if you're using an actor, to tense their lip a little bit when you're trying to put the derm wax on, because otherwise you're going to be like fighting against and basically making their lips do raspberries. It's really weird. So ask them to just tense it a little bit, and then you want to blend it like you did with the other cuts into the corner of the mouth and the chin, so as there is no join there. And then again, like with the other one, you want to put on some cream to blend it, and use a little bit of the setting powder just to blend it better into the skin. It also makes it a little bit more matte. So there's the cream. You only need a tiny bit, you don't need loads. This takes away the shine, as well as setting it. It kind of makes it look less shiny. Now, I'm not using the black for this, I'm going straight in with the red. Again, this is the water-based makeup. And I'm just using a sponge to make the top lip and the bottom lip and a little bit around slightly red to make it look sore. So you want to blend it, you don't want to go too overboard, because otherwise it looks really unrealistic. Now I'm going in with the yellow again, and all I'm going to do is, just to make it look a little bit raised, I'm going to add a little in the corner of the mouth underneath where I've added the derma wax. Again, like with the black eye, this is kind of to make it look more raised. I'm going to blend it in with the red so it's not as obvious. Now with the blood paste, I'm going to add this into underneath the wax that I've added, and behind the lip up to that point, a little bit on the top lip, so it looks like the skin's actually come away instead of it just being a cut. It looks like the skin's been ripped away from the lip. So I'm kind of sculpting a little bit with the paste, because obviously it's a lot thicker. I'm also filling in the wax. Kind of like applying lipstick to just that one tiny bit of the lip. Now I'm using the blood again, and I'm literally only using a couple of drops to go right inside the derma wax that I've added. You don't really need it to be dripping at this point. you just want to make sure it looks deep, like the skin's actually come off. Okay, and there's that one done. So, see, it's quite an effective, demo wax. I love the look of demo wax, it always looks quite realistic. And thank you for watching part 2, my cuts and bruises.